Big up, everybody. You guys already can see I have a special guest today on EGTV. We're going to talk to Mike in a second. But before we do that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go, people. Yes, people. What's going on? It's the Kitty G on EGTV, and we're back again with another video. Today, I have an absolute legend on the show, Mike. He's been doing this preseason tour. You've been making waves, bro. Having exclusive interviews with managers and players, to running into instant super fans like the man himself, Aston Mack, which you've known for a while. And I can't say nothing else but good job for holding it down for all the Gooners over there in America, man.
Thanks, bro. It's a dream come true to just be able to try to connect the club and the fans, and you know, no one needs me to do that, but I'm still having fun trying. You know, it's nice being a little bit media, a little bit fan, a little bit charity, and just a lot Arsenal, man. And I got to tell you, that music intro, I just wish it could play throughout the entire pod. I was grooving to it when we went on air. I'm like, I got caught.
There you go, man. I always catch myself dancing off stream before we get started. But just while we're talking about dancing and everything else, you must have seen William Saliba, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Magalhaes, Gabriel Martinelli, Odegaard, all the boys doing their goddamn thing. And I was like, you know what? I got a little intro for you. I did an intro to my video. Let's see another one, because this right here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, both sides played a very strong side, as you can see here with the team sheets. And you know what? We went into the game, and the game from the jump, this Arsenal side was looking strong, and I knew they were going to put in some work. Quickly, we dispatched of Chelsea with the opening goal with a chip from Gabriel Jesus, as you guys can see right there. Martin Odegaard did his goddamn thing, making things happen. And then Bukayo Saka getting a goal, and with a little cheeky dance at the end.
To the roof of the net it went from Saka.
And that's all I wanted to show you. Too bad.
Doing his goddamn thing, man. He certainly was, man.
There you go. But let's talk about the preseason tour. For everybody who is in the UK and watching from across the world, you were in Baltimore, am I wrong? And you were in Orlando.
No, look, man, I go where the team 3 years ago, the team came to Denver, LA, Charlotte, and DC. I'm from the DC area, so it was nice to kind of end off at home. But, you know, I almost feel an obligation to tour with the team, and the obligation is to myself because it's so much fun. But yeah, I go where the team goes whenever they come over here, and I go where they go a lot when they're playing at home too, as much as I can.
So you were in Baltimore. That is confirmation. Yes. You were in Baltimore.
That's a long way of saying yes to your question.
Yes, and you were in Orlando. Now, what was it like? You were in the games for all the games, all 3 games?
Yeah. You know, one of the things that has kind of changed a bit of the way that I watch the games and attend the games when they're in the States is that I'm usually able to get credential as media, which for me, you know, unlike a lot of the print medias, the guys that I have, you know, amazing respect for, like Gunnar Blog and Kai Kainak and a lot of the other, you know, the other journalists that come over, I'm not necessarily there to write articles about the game itself. So I don't need to be sitting up in the press box doing, you know, live tweeting. My role is really more kind of like fan interviews, getting a sense of the fan base, what's going on, how people are enjoying it. And so I kind of rove around the crowd a little bit, try to get some interviews, watch the game from the crowd. It's you know, it's fun to do because you know, again, I'm a fan, and that's all I am. I'm just a fan that happened to have the little lanyard with the thing on it saying I can move around freely if I want to. But so yeah, I mean, the games, 3 very, very different games on this tour. The Baltimore one felt like a pretty big event, but like, a little bit. It's in a NFL stadium that seats 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Everton, in Baltimore, it wasn't going to sell 80,000 tickets. So, it kind of felt a little bit like a half-empty stadium. It was 7-1 Arsenal fans, though. There's just not a ton of Everton people that showed for that game, and it was kind of like a walkthrough almost for the team to get used to playing on the pitch for the second time, I guess, in the preseason. The game on Wednesday in Orlando against Orlando City was a very different kind of game. It was really more about Orlando City hosting a big Premier League team than it was, an important preseason game for Arsenal. And it kind of played out that way. I mean, we didn't play particularly well. Orlando City got on the score sheet. Their fans were loving it. They were all hyped up, and it was in their stadium, which is a pretty small, what they call a soccer-only stadium. It was less than convincing from Arsenal, but again, preseason game. Last night felt like the big one. I mean, it was always going to be that.
Let me just stop you there quickly and just go to your Twitter feed, because I'm gonna jump into your Twitter feed a couple times here.
Oh, gee.
This here, what were you guys talking about with Matt Turner when you guys were watching? Because you spoke to him a lot. Was there anything you said to him that you didn't say on camera that might be interesting, or what did you send from Matt Turner? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of the fans over here, watching Matt Turner's performances, are questioning how good he might actually be or his mentality. So maybe you know him a little bit better than us.
Yeah, I mean, I can't claim to be a big MLS watcher. I do, of course, follow and support the U.S. men's national team, and I've kind of crowdsourced my Matt Turner information when we first started getting linked with him, and the results were all positive. I mean, he is a very, very, very good shot stopper who's had a couple of high-profile blunders in the time that he's been associated with Arsenal, both for the U.S. team against Canada way back when we first signed him. And do we need to send the medics over to your place?
No, I'm good. And, I've been coughing all day. I don't know why. And
then again, in Germany during his first game against whatever that team was. So yeah, I mean, he's better than he's shown so far, and what I like even more about him is his character. And just in the 10 minutes that we stood with him after the game in Baltimore, had a little kind of what they call a media huddle with the credentialed media and a player, which ended up being Matt Turner. I just really, really grew to like the guy. And liking the guy isn't a prerequisite to him being good, but I think he's got both. And as he gets more comfortable with the training, with the way it works, even for a goalkeeper, he says there's a massive difference between the U.S. and a Premier League team in how they go about things on a day-to-day basis. So I think he'll make for a fine number 2. I know he wants to be here to try to compete for number 1, and he's got a big job ahead of him if he's going to do that. But yeah, I got the picture that was seen there was taken by another journalist who wasn't really supposed to be taking pictures, but I'm glad that he did. I had asked him 2 things. The first was about the legendary moment where he essentially turned down a fan for a signature on a shirt on his last game with the New England Revolution because the guy was wearing a Spurs kit.
Yeah.
I mean, that made him instant legend. I told him, I said, that you've before you ever stepped on the pitch, you've become massive in the hearts of Arsenal supporters because of what you did. And he said, that's just part of the fun of the game. It's, he actually said he had seen that fan before as a Revolution fan of the MLS team he played for. And he's like, so of course, the night that I'm saying goodbye to everybody, he comes in a Spurs shirt just to tease me. He says, I talked to him after that. We're on good. We're good. It wasn't like mean. It was just kind of part of that rivalry. And then I asked him about the opportunity that could potentially arise where the day after Thanksgiving in November, it could be Matt Turner keeping goal against Aaron Ramsdale, depending on how things work for both of those, and whether that would be that would be something special if that ends up happening.
Let me ask you about this, because you were also at the kit launch, and when I seen this was pretty cool. You're at the kit launch. You were there with some of the guys. You were there. I seen you were there with Gooners.
Did I actually type Gunners are in the hizzle? Did I really type that? Jesus. What is wrong with
Where
me?
was that?
What?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So folks are in the
And then-
hizzle. Yeah. I'm a 49-year-old balding Jewish dad, and I'm typing hizzle. There was definitely some alcohol involved in that.
there you are with Gunner Blog talking about some stuff. What were you guys talking about? Gunner
Well,
Blog.
yeah,
Gunner Blog.
James had a highly publicized situation where he checked into his hotel in Orlando, and there was already a large naked man sleeping in his bed, and so everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people worried that it might have been me, and so we're just putting to bed any speculation about what happened there. It was not me, by the way.
Okay, and then that was funny. That was funny. But yeah, this place looked so cool. Like in Orlando.
Yeah, it was set up super nice. They really put on a very, very good not a show, but like it was a really, really good event. Most of the people that were there, Frimmy is hilarious, man, by the way. That guy is everything he seems to be. He's just smiling on camera, off camera, just a beacon of positivity. I'm glad Arsenal have given him an opportunity. But yeah, this is it's just fans who were lucky enough to be there, and there was some kind of an invite only thing because of the size of the place, but just were given the time of their lives. I mean, we didn't get
Was
to
everyone
really
giving free kits, or were they buying them?
No, that was there was a trivia contest, and those four are the ones that won, and the prize for winning was a new kit that was signed by the players that were there.
Amazing.
So
I would frame that. I wouldn't even wear it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't even think they gave them kits that were sized to their bodies, so I don't think they were to be really worn. There would be they're to be framed, but yeah, there was a trivia contest, and as the trivia contest started to ask questions about certain current Arsenal players, those players would just kind of emerge from the back, or from through the front door. Aaron Ramsdale just comes in the front door. You can see it on the lower right there. Ramsdale just came in at one point and just sat down at the table. No cameras pointing at him, no nothing. And it was literally 30 seconds before the people next to him realized who he was, because he just had that hat on backwards. He just kind of grabbed himself a seat and sat down, and people were probably like, who the heck just sat down next to me? But it was Rambo. So just a really, really fun event, and a great way to start the week off in Orlando.
Yeah, that event looks so cool, and you also got to meet some Arsenal legends. We had Parler here, and you have Gilberto Silva, and honestly, it must be an honor. Gilberto Silva is such a cool guy.
He is, man. He just, the two of them were kind of the legends. Every time they go on tour, they take, legends with them. In 2019, it was Ray as well. And, they are accessible, friendly. I mean, they're not, the players are, it's a different story. Not that they're not friendly, but they keep them from a bit of distance from everybody, because they know they would just absolutely get mobbed, and, someone step on their toe or something like that. But the legends they're just sitting right there at the table. You come up to them, you talk. They get bored. They come over. They have a conversation with you. That's when Emil came out. But yeah, it's just a great event, man. I mean, there's nothing really you could say other than it's pure class. And what I will say, though, after saying that there's nothing else that you could say, is that I would like to see more of this kind of stuff happen in London, in England, during the season. I think that we are privileged here in the U.S. I mean, what we don't have, in the ability to see the team at home day in, day out, follow the team, have games that are at normal times of day. What we don't have there, we certainly get rewarded for every few years when they come to visit, as far as access and connection and that sort of thing. And at least to me, it does not go unnoticed that there's not nearly enough of that kind of stuff that's going on at home. So if you're part of the fan base, and I see a lot of this on Twitter, if you're, in the mode of, these guys are lucky, they're always being treated better than we are, and we're the ones that I hear you, I agree with you. And, I don't think you have to not do one because you're not doing the other. I think they just need to do both.
Okay. So next I was gonna ask you, you met a lot of wonderful people, but there was somebody you already knew who got an amazing opportunity to be part of the advert for the new kit. Now just let me know, how do you meet Austin Mack, and like just let people know a little bit about the guy, because it seems like he's gone from quite not well known over here in the UK, I would say, to now being very well known, and could be one of the super fans over there now with the popularity that he's going to get off the back of the new campaign. And you know what? This is great to see Arsenal representing one of their own fans from across the border and showing them in the advert. Honestly, I was so proud to see that, because it almost makes you feel like you could eventually be like one of those guys that they pick out to be part of.
They know me well enough to know that I'm not the right kind of person to pick out for that, but yeah, the Aston is someone who I became aware of when a lot of people did. Certainly not the number of people now, but during the Black Lives Matter protests after George Floyd back in 2020, and he was, he's a community activist, and I'm sure he'll come on with you at some point and tell his story. So I don't want to tell his story for him, but he's a community activist. He's very involved in race relations, in helping underprivileged people here in the city of Orlando, where there's a lot of need for that. And he wanted to protest just like everybody else. It was the inequities and the awful situation that's going on over here, and just felt like by wearing his Arsenal shirt, he would be more amongst friends, more kind of safe, more bulletproof in the sense, and I don't mean that literally, but just able to feel more confident. And his story got picked up. There's a pretty popular, very popular podcast called Men in Blazers that covers football, and they picked up his story. I then learned about him from there, and I just reached out to him because I love having people like that, stories like that on our podcast. And I reached out to him, and we did a podcast, and then we just really became good friends. I was in Florida a couple times, including last year when the team was supposed to be here, and hung out with him. He's traveled to see me as well. And then when I was up in Baltimore, he had said that he wasn't coming to Baltimore. And then all of a sudden he said, "Yo, I'm here in Baltimore. Where are we going to lunch?" And then he told me why he was in Baltimore. And it's just his last few weeks have been amazing. And I've gotten definitely like a firsthand view of how he's, rode that kind of wave of fame. And it could be a lot. And it's not forever, but what he's gotten a chance to do this week, the people he's been in company with, and the reaction on Twitter has been pretty cool. And all I can tell you is the guy is legitimately everything that Arsenal have pumped him up to be. So anyone who's hating on Aston right now needs to get their shit together, because he's my guy. He is my guy.
I'm very happy to see that, and big up to him, especially wearing his kit to the protest and showing how much strength it takes to be in one of those protests and everything. And I know how deeply rooted those issues are in America, and it's definitely something that is going to be fighting for a long time. So it's great to see Arsenal fans coming together in those kind of situations. Now we have a lot of people talking about some stuff. Vibes from the Six will be on later tonight, guys. Do not worry. We're going to be back on at 10:30. So yeah, I'm not going to be done streaming for the day. It's going to be my third stream. Shout out to everybody. We're going to talk about outgoings in a bit, guys. Let's just finish up with the preseason game. So yeah, talk to me about the preseason and the incomings, the new signings, my friend, because you got to see them firsthand. Gabriel Jesus, absolutely class. You seen Zinchenko yesterday. I think you were on the side which he was playing on. Am I wrong?
I was on the side he was playing on in the first half. Yeah.
Okay, so that is because he was off in the second half, so you didn't get.
He was defending from that. I was moving all over the place, but as far as the end of the pitch that we were on, it was the one that we were defending first half. So
So you'll be able to give us some good insight on Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. And what did you think of Marquinhos? Because I didn't see him also. So just let me know what you thought about the Arsenal incoming signings, because we have made Matt Turner. We've already spoken about him, so we don't need to speak about him anymore. Gabriel Jesus, we're gonna get onto him because he's a star man and the talisman. You have Marquinhos, who we don't know much about yet, and he's still very raw. So I'm not gonna judge him too much yet. Fabio Vieira, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see him play while he was on the preseason tour in America. And then you finish off with Zinchenko, and what a signing he seems to be. Talk to me about it, man.
I mean, it's hard not to see some sort. I mean, you never want to get caught saying the P word process, but I mean, the signings that we've done, and frankly, the signings that we have not done, are just, I'm going to sound like an advertisement for the club, and I don't mean that, because I can be critical when being critical is warranted. But these signings are just their values. They're players that are going to be so much better in our environment than they would be in any other environment, and it's just there's a plan that's being followed, and it's being followed quite well. I mean, we're not getting everything that we want, but we've come from such a place with our squad. When you look at our squad in the 2019 tour, for example, and even the year after that, and you compare it to now, there's one or two players that are still here. Granit Xhaka, and that's about it. So it's just fascinating what they've done, and Gabby Jesus will be the signing of the summer worldwide. None of this Nunez stuff. Holland will do what he's going to do, but we already know what he is capable of. We know he might just bag 30, 35 goals this season if he's at his best, but that's what they bought. We're getting a guy at half the price, half the wages maybe, who just is going to transform 3 or 4 players around him, not just be a better 9 than what we've had in the past, but he's going to make Odegaard better. Talking to Odegaard, it's like you could tell he's been given, like he's like a kid in a candy store. He's been given something to play with that he didn't have last season, and he still had a pretty good year last year. But he's now got new toys to play with, and they're great. They're great toys. Gabby's just gonna transform this team. He's gonna make Saka better. He's gonna make Martinelli better. He's gonna. I can't hear you now.
Talk to me about Odegaard. Do you see him as a leader, as a captain in the team?
Well, he is, and he is. He is the captain. They haven't announced it yet, but he is the captain, and he's he was one of the people that we interviewed after the at a media event the day before yesterday, and he very politely dodged the question about being a captain by saying he didn't know anything about it yet, but he said if it was something that he was offered, he'd be honored. He would wear it.
Is this one, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, that's man. You are quick.
Which one was it? Because there's several questions.
Yeah, there's it would say it would say in the tweet. I don't know. There it is, right there.
Here we go.
Is this something that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always enjoy responsibility. I'm a captain for my country, so I think that's a nice experience, and I enjoy that. But I don't know anything about the situation here. I think that question is for Mikkel and the club. But yeah, if you ask me, of course, I will be happy to do that.
You got to ask a lot of people questions. What was your favorite response that you got from one of them?
Honestly, it was my favorite one was probably the first one. Just talking to Matt Turner about the whole Tottenham incident. He had a good sense of humor about it. He seemed comfortable with it. He seemed to really get the rivalry, which is important. I mean, you can say what Spurs and Arsenal are, as far as trying to compare it to something else that you might be more familiar with, but there's nothing like that. Not even no LAFC versus LA Galaxy rivalry or Seattle Portland. None of that is even a percentage of what Arsenal Spurs is. So you like to see a guy who not only gets it, but I mean, that was what he did in that moment was, I mean, he didn't have time to think about it and stage it. It was like just pure reaction from him. So total banter from him on that. So that was probably my favorite. But yeah, I got to as far as the players I had a chance to interview. It was Eddie Nketiah, Martin Odegaard, and Matt Turner, as well as Alex Iwobi. By the way, they can't.
And Arteta, you got to press. You got to press.
If you look at how all the teams have done it and where we were, there is a transition moment where that smile has to change at some stage. Look where we are investing the money, we are spending the money, we have made big investments, but investment for the future with huge talent and as well possibility to a lot of performance and possibility in the future. We have to do something to have the squad that they can sustain it.
So with Arteta being pressed by you guys, he seems to be answering the question quite quickly, but like no hesitation also from him. I was going to ask, what's your opinion on Arteta? Because just like me, I'm thinking you're one of the more like back in the manager, back in the team, thinking everything's going to work. Hopefully everything's going to work out as long as we get the right players in place. Do you not agree?
Yes, I that's definitely my view, but sometimes these things get crystallized into a personal thing. Like I'm pro Arteta or anti Arteta. I'm not anything Arteta. Well, let me say this: I wasn't anything Arteta. I was pro not starting all over again, pro wanting things to work out, pro supporting the manager of Arsenal Football Club, whoever that person is. And quite honestly, seeing things change, just not necessarily as quickly as I'd like. That was me going in, having an opportunity to really spend some time and talk to the guy. It is hard not to fall under his spell because the dude, he's a rock star, like looks wise. Like you feel like you're talking to, just a movie star basically, but I can get over that because, I am one. But the guy is just so cool, collected. He's well put together. He answers questions in a way that Arsene Wenger used to answer questions in a way that left you wondering whether he really answered the questions or not, which was kind of, I think, by design. Arteta is very direct. He's very quick in getting to the point, and he's in command. This team is his. It never hasn't been, but for good or for better or for worse, whatever you think of the guy and whatever ends up happening this season, next season, this is his team, his football club right now. He is in charge of everything that's happening that he needs to be in charge of. And that's the impression that he gives off. And
before we go into outgoings, I just want to speak about one more player who's basically an incoming, but it's only because he's been loaned out numerous times.
He's like a new signing.
William Saliba. Now, I have said on numerous occasions, William Saliba will be the best player at this club in the future because I think he's potentially has the potential to be the best player and he has the highest ceiling out of everyone we currently have. That is the argument we can have for another day possibly. But when it comes to William Saliba, I think Mikel Arteta got the loan move spot on. First of all, the first loan we understood. The second loan, family situation, understood it. The third loan was a little bit like, why is he going to Marseille? But it's worked out for the best. We've gotten in Ben White, we've gotten Gabriel, we have Saliba, and we now have like 3 defenders that are on the level of a Liverpool City, up there with the top teams in the league. So what do you think about William Saliba and just the defensive unit as a core?
I just think it's another situation where everything's just kind of coming together perfectly. No one will ever know whether he would have had a productive, good Premier League season last year. We'll never know that. Just because he might this season doesn't mean he would have last season. Just because he did at Marseille doesn't mean he would have at Arsenal. So, it's just the time and energy wasted on should he have been given more of a chance? Should he, have been trusted by Arteta? Does Arteta have it out for him? All these talking points from the last 12 months are not only irrelevant, but I think it's pretty clear, especially with him, I believe, either having or nearing extending his contract with Arsenal before his first Premier League game. I think it's pretty clear that he is happy to be here. He's bedding in nicely, at this point. At his age, a year of extra maturity, a year of extra experience, a year of growth and regular contact with your parent club can make all the difference. And I think if he continues to get the opportunities, and he seems to be in that position to have them, I agree with you about his ceiling. He could be a guy who people are talking about for years. And that's what we bought. We bought a guy who wasn't ready yet. We didn't even, we knew we wouldn't have him for a whole season. We didn't realize it would be 3, but we knew we weren't going to get him right away, but we got him at a price that was worth doing that for. And, he could become a 80, 90 million pound player, but hopefully one that his purchase price doesn't matter because he's a legend for the club 8 years from now.
100%. And if Don Raul did one thing good, this is probably it. So let's move on to outgoings and incomings. But before we do that, just let people know a little bit about your cause, because you do have the Gooners for Cancer. Am I wrong? Or is that how it's called?
No, you are never wrong, my friend. Gooners versus Cancer is a charity that I started about 5 years ago. I don't know of anyone who hasn't been or have family members who've been impacted by some form of cancer. The cancer that we raise funds for research and cures for is our blood cancers like leukemia, lymphoma, multiple myeloma, those sort of things. And so we support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And it's great. It's a kind of a year-round thing. We have generous donors who give us prizes that we can raffle off. I've used some of my connections with the club and with some amazing Arsenal legends like Alan Smith and Lee Dixon and Perry Groves and others that are so generously helping us. But we basically get things that we can raffle off. We do contests. We raise money. We do a 24-hour podcast. We have a FIFA tournament. If you've got gamers who are watching this, everyone should follow Gooners V Cancer on Twitter and Instagram. And we talk about what we do. But then in these kinds of events, we do the local fundraising every day this week in Orlando and last weekend in Baltimore. We've got a presence at the fan events, special auctions, special incentives that you can get. And I think in the last 3 days from Wednesday to yesterday, I think we raised about $3,500, which is like about 2,800 pounds for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And it's so heartwarming because our fan base at Arsenal, despite what people talk about on Twitter, this is the best fan base in the world. Just generosity, family, caring, and cooperation is just phenomenal. So we've had a good week for Gooners versus Cancer, and it continues. So
yeah. So there you go. You can just see you raised over $2,300 in 40 hours.
That was in Baltimore and probably another 3 in Orlando. So, I think the summer tours, once we finally do all the bookkeeping and accounting, because I have to have like a day where I'm not doing 97,000 different things to catch up on that. But it'll be well over 5,000 that we raised for the summer tour. And that's just, that's amazing for me.
That is amazing right there. And just before we go into the transfers, I promise, guys, we will speak about the transfers.
I don't know anything. I keep seeing people asking me, like, what do I know about incomings? The answer is the same that you do, man. Same that you do.
You know what it is? Sometimes they just like it, a different perspective on what they think about the actual transfers, not what you actually know, maybe just your insight on what you think about the potential transfers. But before we do that, just let us know, how did you become an Arsenal fan and what made you move from so close to the Emirates to across the world?
Well, it was a temporary thing. I'm born in the States, and my family had an opportunity to move to London for what was going to be 1 year and ended up being 2 in the late 1980s. So we moved in the summer of 1988, lived in London for a year. Then we moved to a different part of London for a year. But, my kind of goal was to assimilate into the culture, to be part of a football club. I loved sports. I played what I had called at the time soccer. And it's just, so I had to pick a team. Now, I didn't know what team to pick, but I lived on the Piccadilly line, and, living on the Piccadilly line, there was a stop called Arsenal, and it seemed pretty easy to get to. So I went. I kind of didn't know anything about anything. I walked out of the tube station. I followed all the hordes of people, and, next thing I know, I am standing on the North Bank, just at Highbury on the terraces, looking at this beautiful football pitch, and and then watching guys like David Rocastle and Tony Adams and Paul Merson and Alan Smith just, knocking goals. And I kept going back and going back and going back. And ultimately, when I moved back to the States, I lost a little bit of contact and a little bit of closeness to the club, which is unfortunate because, Arsene Wenger's first 10 years, Dennis Bergkamp's whole career, all those things kind of slipped through the cracks with me. And I almost said slipped through my cracks. And then I did say it. But then back in, right around the time of the Champions League final, Arsenal kind of reestablished itself, kind of like William Saliba. I wasn't really ready to be a full-time Arsenal supporter from America from that distance. But in 2006, the situation had changed. I had kids. I had one that I'm looking at right now who's a big footballer, and we plugged back into the team, and it's just been hardcore since then. So I go back 34 years to a very special season. 88-89 was my first intro to Arsenal, and it never really truly left me.
Amazing story, man. For me, it was simply the French national team got me into football, and from there, it's just a natural transition to getting over to Arsenal. From there, it was just very simple. French football was very much connected to Arsenal at the time with all the players that we had. And if you guys remember, in the UK, they even did that article saying how Arsenal
win the World Cup. That article is in the media reception room at the Emirates. Like when you go on a tour, or if you're part of the media over there, which I haven't been, you can that article is prominently displayed right where the tours let out.
Okay, so this portion of the show, guys, we will be answering your questions in the chat. Throw in whatever rumors, outgoings, incoming, sell, keep, or buy questions that you guys want to do, and we'll jump through them throughout the rest of the show. So it's now the 36-minute mark, and we're going to talk about transfers. First,
congratulations, by the way, you got Nicolas Pepe in the chat. I mean, the actual Nicolas Pepe. I thought they were on a flight back home right now, but
there you go. Nicolas Pepe is always in the chat.
You're massive.
He's a funny guy. Yeah, he actually does not like Nicolas Pepe. That's why he's doing this. They say flattery is the best. I don't know.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but
there you go.
Not in every case.
Let me start by saying incomings. Tielemans, thoughts on your...
I've thought since the beginning of the summer that was going to still happen. I think it's the most likely to still happen, just because kind of everything's gone quiet on it. There's too much smoke there for there not to be fire. I still think he'd be a good addition to the club. I mean, if we don't get him, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'll lose sleep over something else. But that one it just seems like there's a tunnel being built between Leicester and the Emirates for him, and it's just taken a little bit of time to build. Kind of like the Thomas Partey situation, where everyone knew we were being linked. Everyone knew that it was really only ever going to be us. And I disagree that he'll go to United. I think that would be a really poor move for him or for anybody at this point.
They want to play him as a DM.
I mean, the only thing that moving to United would be good for would be his savings account. But that's not what proper footballers really want at this point in time. So, or that's not all they want.
Yeah.
So
Mohammed's been asking all stream.
I know that's who I was responding to. I'm like, yo, I just because it's not like when you talk to Mikel Arteta in a huddle after an event, like the real interview ends and then he's like, okay, here's who we're signing, guys. That it doesn't work like that. And so I'm not an ITK. I don't profess to be. I generally actually kind of poke fun at ITKs. If anyone knows the story of the gerbil, football gerbil, that's a parody. But yeah, I mean, I personally, I think Tielemans is coming in, but that's a personal opinion based on the same kind of information that everybody else has. As far as the winger situation is concerned, as much as I would like a little bit more, strength on the wings, especially the right side for, Bukayo Saka to be able to not have to play every single minute. That one seems a little further away, but again, it's It's just speculation. What I will say is that, when asked about further incomings, if there's one more coming or two more coming, the standard answer is we're working on improving the club every way that we can. And the transfer window is still open for more than another month. So they're not coming out and saying that they're done. But what we have seen is a transfer window unlike any that we've had in the past, where we've gotten a lot of business done, and a lot of business done early enough to bed these players in. And it doesn't take a rocket science to see when the players are in and they're playing on the tour and they're bedding in with their teammates in July, it makes a big difference in August. And because we cannot afford to have another poor August like we did last season.
Boom. I'm just going to say this, guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button. We're at 66 people in the chat right now. You guys can definitely do much better than 50 likes. Obviously,
each of you need to log in on 9 different accounts and hit the like button right now, because with 66 people, we should have at least 9,000 likes.
There you go. It's just simple math. Anyways, majority of these likes were done before the stream, because I had to stream up. I had to stream up for like 3 days, and there was like because we were originally supposed to do it a couple days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
So what did you do then? Like if the person tunes back in, they're like, wait, I don't like this guy. I don't like Mike.
No.
Can I go change it? I mean, because they've already said that they like to stream, and I'm worried that, I don't want people to.
They heard it was Magic Mike, and then they thought it was Channing Tatum, and they found out it's not. So
well, maybe they're just waiting for me to take my shirt off, and I'm not going to do that.
No, we don't need that right now. Anyways, talking about other signings. Edu basically said Lucas Paqueta is not happening in a recent tweet I seen on the timeline. He spoke with Brazil, ESPN Brazil, and when speaking with ESPN Brazil, he's in Portuguese, I think he was speaking, and he said something across the lines. Yeah, it would be impressive if he was speaking English to them, of course. And but his words were. Let me just get it up. You know me, man. I have to get the visuals with the.
No, you're good. You're on point with that.
Edu, I am very. What is that?
Suspect. Yeah, I think he just says like I'm hesitant to say this, but.
Okay. So he's very suspect to speak. As a big fan of Lucas Paqueta, how he was considered the best player in the French league last season, but there's no talks. I'm a big admirer of him. So he then went on to say, Edu, today his position is midfielder, and we are very well served, and that's it. So basically implying that we might not be getting Lucas Paqueta.
Yeah, you normally get a bit of translation issues when these things are done, but that seemed pretty definitive. And everything that I have heard, I know that. James McNicholas, who has a pretty good pulse of what is and isn't going on at the club, has mentioned that Paqueta never really was on, and it certainly still it isn't now. As much as that would be a great pickup for Arsenal, it just I don't think that that's something that they're seeking after. At this, having missed out on Rafinha, who never really wanted to go anywhere but Barcelona, I don't really know who that person would be. You can draw connections with Leroy SANE just because he played under Arteta and would be kind of another almost like Man City signing, even though he wouldn't be coming directly from there. But those are maybe the kinds of signings you make once you're in the Champions League, like next summer type signings, just to make the club even better. Like when Man City signed Riyad Mahrez when they already had all the people in that, just to continue to bolster your team. Doing that this summer, I mean, it's weird to say this, but it almost seems like that would be too much. And I realize you can never do too much, but let this team kind of breathe a little bit. Maybe add one more in the midfield, and then in January see where you are again.
Okay. As we people are asking about Bowen, any news on Bowen? I will tell you guys, we met with Bowen's representatives. That's the report. That's what it says at this moment in time. I did a video on that yesterday on the YouTube channel, if you can check it out. Bowen to Arsenal. We've already discussed that, but I think don't knock the player too much, but I think he's good in the final third. I question if technical abilities to the level of what Mikel Arteta would want in a winger, because then would we be signing Pepe 2.0? Because because Pepe is good in the final third, but he's not that good elsewhere. Like his passing, Jared Bowen's passing's poor. His pass progression's poor. His underlying statistics in every passing category is poor. And with a team where everyone's left-footed, right-footed, I don't know.
I don't know much about the player, but my son, who plays a tremendous amount of FIFA, is agreeing with the Pepe 2.0 comment. So he's in the background, just behind my computer, giving me the heads up on that. So
okay, Bowen is coming clean my boots. Okay, Pepe saying Bowen is coming to clean his boots. Do you think we'll sell Pepe? Talking about Pepe.
I think we would sell Pepe. I don't know if we will, because there just doesn't seem to be. I can't imagine that a middle tier French club, or maybe a middle tier Spanish club like a Sevilla or something, wouldn't come in for him at a cut rate price of like 20 or 22 million. I mean, it does not matter what we paid for him at this point. It matters what we can get for him. And
that is the value that they view him at. Personally, let's do this quickly, because I think there's so many players I would sell, but I want to know your opinion, Mike.
Okay.
If I'm looking at this Arsenal team, I'm going through the whole team, and if you can see it on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna do it this way, just so it's a little bit better. So first, Leno. I'm selling Leno. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't bring in Matt Turner to be our third, goalkeeper. We don't have enough minutes for him to play for that. Maybe if we do the ESL and what we have now, then we need 3 top keepers. But you can debate all day whether Leno is better than Turner, whether long term as far as the age profile is concerned. You can't debate that Bernd Leno's wife is the best looking wife of any footballer in the world, but we weren't really seeing her on the pitch that much anyway. So yeah, I mean, Leno, I'm disappointed that the market for Leno isn't greater. I'm disappointed that we're looking at getting at most, sounds like £10 million, but there's no room for the 3 of them. So Leno's got to go. Runnerson, if you could just
he's got to go.
If you could put him in Leno's suitcase when he goes, that would be fine. And then obviously Nkanku's one for the future. You don't sell him, you put him on
what I
loan.
have to say about this? I question the goalkeeping coach who's recruiting the second goalkeeper. If Matt Turner doesn't work out, that would be the second goalkeeper who the goalkeeping coach made 2 mistakes now, because he's the one.
Let me just tell you, Matt Turner is no Runnerson. He's not gonna be Alex Runnerson 2.0 for not even close. He's established and he has credibility to be. Now, whether he's a good enough number 2, we don't know. We didn't think Emi Martinez was a good enough number 2 for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
And then we cried when we sold them. I remember that.
Yeah.
Hector Bellerin.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to go. I think most of these players that are kind of in that dead weight zone, I think do need to go. Holding, I would never sell Rob Holding. Why? I'm not saying I wouldn't sell him for any price. I'm just saying for what he is, he's a guy that bridges together generations for our club. He is a perfectly suitable 4th choice center back. Nothing more than that, nothing less than that. And if in a pinch we have to have Ben White covering right back, and we have Gabriel and Ben White, and maybe there's an injury, or there's 3 games in 8 days or something, Rob Holding can do the job. I mean, he's had games where he showed he didn't belong out there, the Derby most recently in May, but he's fine as a 4th center back to me. And so to sell him, you're not going to get the value that he can provide actually playing for the club by 100%.
Selling. Ben saying I only sell Leno if we get the asking price, only like 10 million, rather keep and let him go on a free next season.
So why then? Because if you give up the 10 million that you get, you pay his wages, which are not insignificant for an entire year. So let's say you're giving up 10 million and you're paying a guy who you're not intending to play at all this season. Otherwise, you wouldn't have brought Matt Turner in, and you're paying the guy £5 million for the year and losing him for nothing. I mean, what's the point in that to me? I mean, if we were deciding between Leno and Runnerson, and Leno had said, I'm not going to renew my contract, but I'll play it out, then that would be my view, is to keep him rather than sell him for $10 million. But to give up a sale fee and pay the guy to sit on the bench doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what? Sometimes we get caught in saying, "Oh, we need to sell players for more money," but then when the player sticks around, we say, "Why is this player still here?"
Yeah,
and it's like,
I mean, yeah, we can't be so principled that we shoot ourselves in the foot for no reason.
It's like when you don't want a signing, but then when they sign for West Ham or Newcastle, you're like, "Oh, West Ham and Newcastle."
We missed out on this. We missed out on Scamacca because he went to West Ham.
No one cares about Scamacca.
Yeah. we have Gabby Jesus. I don't think we missed out on anybody.
No. I don't mean it in that way. I mean, no one cares about Scamacca until he bangs a goal.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
But hey, it is what it is. Football is you're always looking at how you can improve. So I'm just going to go through this quickly. Hector Bellerin, yes or no? Sell. Holding, we already spoke about. Cedric, I think he's going to stay around. Gabriel, Tierney, a bunch of these guys are sticking around, right? You look in the second row. Tomiyasu's not going nowhere. Nuno Tavares is going on loan, in my opinion. And I would sell Pablo Mari, of course.
I think we're trying. I mean, I think Fenerbahce want to just get the free deal that teams think that they can get from Arsenal now and take Mari. But yeah, I mean, Mari's another guy who, because we signed him relatively inexpensively, he's making more in wages than he should be. So that's a guy that's a value to get off the books if you can. So I would hope to be able to sell him for whatever we can get for him.
Do you think we will be able to sell him?
I mean, I think these things, yeah. I mean, by the time the last 3 or 4 days of the transfer window come down, teams are going to be lining up and saying, okay, now we're going to look at kind of the what's the dollar store over there? Now we're going to look at the Poundland options to bolster our numbers, and somebody will go in for him, maybe pay $1 million or $2 million and take him on. I'm not worried that we won't be able to get rid of him. I just love it to happen sooner than later so that we get that number trimmed down, because we're at 33 players right now. We ended the season last season at like 18 outfield players. Now we have something like 28 or 29, and a lot of these guys are just never going to see the pitch.
That is a reality. Okay, moving on to the midfield. Thomas Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard. Thomas Partey, Saka, Odegaard, they're not going nowhere. Emil Smith-Rowe, Vieira just came in. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Xhaka, Lokonga, El Neni. What's your thoughts on those four?
The only one of those that I would definitely think needs to go is Maitland-Niles. I mean, it's just not happening for him here. He doesn't seem to want to make it happen. And there's no room for him anymore. Could he be good cover for, would he be better cover for Tomiyasu, who seems a little bit concerningly injury prone now all of a sudden? Would he be better at right back than either Cedric or Ben White shifting over? That's debatable, but if he doesn't want to do it, then we can't force him to do it, and we'd better off getting rid. So yeah, I'd say that his time at the club probably is over. Lokonga will be with the club this season. I don't think he goes on loan. I think he's there.
What about
El Neni has proven that he is a valuable member of this team in the capacity that he plays. So, again, I don't know exactly how we get Xhaka.
Yeah, I want to know your thoughts on Xhaka.
Oh man, the riddle of Granit Xhaka.
You pro or against?
I'm neutral from a player standpoint. I'm one of those people who just really didn't get over what he did against Crystal Palace. I just, and I know that makes me an ass, because I know I can't claim to know what he was going through in his mind at the time, but that whole Palace thing with throwing the armband and ripping his shirt off, that and telling the crowd to F off. I mean, that I never forgave him for that. And not only that, but a lot of other things where it's like it's him against the club or him against the fans, with his hand signals, and he has one good game and he tells all the fans to leave him alone and stuff. That whole drama and the saga I've been ready to be done with for a long time. What you can't say though is that he's not respected within the squad, and that whatever he does behind the scenes that doesn't face the fans and that we see is mystical, because he's a legend amongst his teammates. So yeah. I would get rid of him if we can improve on him, but I don't see him as dead weight like the other players you talked about.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you, but at the same time, I rate him a little bit more. I think Xhaka gets a lot of criticism because of the past, and people don't actually judge him fairly on his performances because of the history we have for him. El Neni I get rid of. Sorry, not El Neni. Torreira I get rid of. I think El Neni is much better than people talk about him. They talk about him as if he's useless. Lokonga, he's shown just the other days during this preseason, he might be utilized more as an 8, because he looks a lot better going forward than I thought. Ainsley, he's just not serious about playing football, in my opinion. His concentration levels are not there, and if he was serious, he should have played at right back. He would have had a future there. Now, going to attack, there's not a lot of players I would sell. We already spoke about Pepe. Reece Nelson, I would just sell or go on loan. Balogun, sell or go on loan. Actually, I wouldn't sell him. I would just put him on loan.
Yeah, no, you don't want to let go of him quite yet.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, ending up with that. And finally, what do you rate the window so far? Because for me, we need 2 more players. If we get 2 more players, that would be almost a perfect window. If we don't get the 2 players, then I would say, you know what, our window is a 6 or a 7. What do you think?
Yeah, I put the window right now as a 7. And my gut tells me we're going to get 1 more. And to me, that, depending on who that is, it takes it to either an 8 or a 9. It'd be hard to, if we add a talented winger, like if we're in a position where I said before, I don't really know who that winger would be that we would add it, because it wouldn't be Sane, it's not going to be Rafinha, but I will say if it's Cody Gakpo from PSV, he's not a guy who I would make our marquee signing, like hey, we're bringing in this guy to start every single game and he's going to transform our team, because he's not there yet, but he is incredibly talented. He can play at the 9. He often does play at the 9 for them. So that would be a kind of signing that if we were to sign Tielemans and Gakpo, I would have a hard time not giving a 10 to this window. It'd just be that transformative for this club. But we're going to end up probably somewhere between a 7 and a
9. Been watching Zinchenko in training. He's got techers. He definitely does. But yeah, that's it for today, bro. Big up Magic Mike for coming on. We still got around 75 people in the chat, so do me a favor, hit that like button, and also go check out his channel. You're going to be streaming immediately after we're done around 9 o'clock. Am I wrong?
Yeah, actually, we the Sunday night channel, the Sunday night show is on Bergkamp Wonderland. It's the Sunday roast. It's only a little bit about Arsenal, but mostly just about various silly things. But yeah, we'll be back this week on the Gooners Pod. And mate, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. You are one of the hardest working people in the Arsenal podcasting and space business right now. You're pushing out content out of your pores, but so I had to join in and see what was going on, man. But
hey, man, honestly, I don't usually get people who reach out to me. I'm always the one reaching out to people, so I really do appreciate you reaching out to me and showing me that you'd be willing to jump on, because I have been trying to get a lot more voices on the channel, and this has just been like 2 buddies speaking, like we've literally known each other for years.
Yeah, we've known each other for about an hour.
This is what Arsenal does, right?
That's right.
It brings people together, and it's like, definitely need to have you on. I'll be doing shows throughout the season where I do catch ups with people. So like, if you ever want to jump on, I'll
anytime,
I'll
man. You know where to find me. I'm always happy to pod.
There you go. And big up everyone in the chat. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Big up Mike, and let's and up the Gooners, man. We got to go, guys. Peace.